Okay, in this session we're going to look at drawing tools and shapes. So, shapes and lines. How do you draw shapes and lines in the Promethean active software? Well, it is these icons here on the floating toolbar. The shape icon, which has got the rectangle, and in front of it the circle, and next to it there is an icon which calls itself connectors, but basically it is for drawing lines. And I'm also going to mention here there is another icon, which is the shape recognition icon, that allows you to use a pen really, and then it will try to interpret what you have drawn. So first of all, let's just have a look at basic shapes. So if I click on this icon, you should see on the right hand side then a whole series of possibilities open up, and let's just do a simple rectangle. So if I click on the rectangle and then go on to my page, my whiteboard page, I can then drag out, just holding the mouse down, and drag out a rectangle. Click on the triangle, I can drag out a triangle. And let me just show you the shape recognition pen. This may not work very well because I'm using a mouse for this recording, but if I click on the shape recognition pen and I'll try and draw a triangle, as you can see it's not very easy when you're doing it with a mouse, and it will actually try to tidy that up and make it, it's not quite made it into a triangle, it's more of a pentagon of sorts, isn't it? But you get the idea that you can actually draw shapes as well. Let me show you the lines and the choices that you have. So if I click on the connectors icon on the floating toolbar, then on the right hand side I have all of these. I always get confused which end the arrowhead is going to be. I think it's this third one down, where the arrowhead is where my drawing finishes. So if I start up here and drag out now, that's right, I have an arrowhead pointing to the triangle. If I start here, an arrowhead pointing to my rectangle, and here an arrowhead pointing to my badly drawn triangle. So you can have dotty lines, so we could look at something which was measuring the distance between these two sides, or I could draw here. You can see how you could use that to put in measurements. Notice when I've drawn a line you do get these yellow blobs at the end of it, and you can, I'm kind of jumping a little bit here, if you click on one of the yellow blobs it allows you to move one end of the drawn line whilst keeping the other one still. Okay, so those are your basic shapes and lines with this software. How do you move, rotate and resize these shapes and lines? Well, let me go back to the shape tool, and this time I'm going to draw the second shape down, which is the rounded rectangle. And this really shows you a technique that you'll use time and time again, and it's one that's also easy to forget, and you'll try to move something and find you're still drawing, but don't worry about that because I still do that. It's very easy to get confused, but the key thing is this: do something, so draw something, then go to the select tool, the mouse pointer head on the floating toolbar, because once you've drawn something you can then, if you put your mouse over the border of it, click on it and select it, and you then get this new kind of on-screen menu of all things that you can do with this shape. So if I just show you these basic ones, to move it, this is the first icon on that left hand, on that of the left hand of the toolbar that's above the shape now. So it's got that kind of cross hatch with arrowheads on. And if I click down on that icon, you can see I can move it to anywhere I like on the page. Okay, so that's moving the shape. To rotate it, the next icon along, I think you'll probably recognise as a rotate icon. So if I click on that icon and hold down, I can then move this to whatever rotate I want. Let me go back to it, see if I can bring it all the way around again to the top, which will make it easier to follow. So that is the rotate. Resize, very similar to most resizing programs, but with one slight twist. any of the blobs around the corners of the shape I can take hold of and I can drag out. Okay, but as you can see, doing that will stretch the shape even if you've picked a corner blob, unless it is this bottom right hand corner blob and it's got a line through it, and if you click on that one and drag out, it will keep things in proportion. It will not alter the proportions of the shape that you have. But all of the other blobs, even the ones on the corner, will actually alter proportions. So that's worth knowing about. So that's the basics of how you move, rotate and resize shapes. So if I just move on to the final, and I'm not going to show you everything here because, as I usually say, it's much better for you to explore and learn by play and experimentation if at all possible. I'm just going to draw another basic shape. So let's do a rounded rectangle again. If I don't want to have this kind of orange colour to the rectangle, how can I change it? Well, you can select the shape, so go to the select tool and click on its edge, and then in the floating toolbar and the colour scheme that you have here, you can choose a different colour. Want it in black, you can have it in black, in red, whatever you like, and you can actually, if you right click, bring up even more colour schemes that you can use here, so you can actually pick a colour, a custom colour if you so wished. So that's how you change the edging of that. And similarly you can choose, I think, the thickness of the edging using the width tool there. Okay, so let me just select the shape again. You can also fill in the middle, and you do that using this kind of bucket of paint icon, the fill icon. Okay, so if I select the fill icon and I select, let's select yellow in this particular colour, and then bring my pen out into here and click, I've now filled the shape with the yellow fill, and I can choose a different colour. If I don't like yellow, I can choose whatever colour I want to use. So that's how you would fill a shape with a particular colour. Now I also want to show you how you can actually do a lot more, and if I go back to the select tool and select this shape, I've already spoken about the first two icons here, the moving icon and the rotating icon. The next one along, in fact, gives you the full Monty, as it were, the full set of things that you can actually do with this. And in particular, if you go to the property browser, then that will open up a pane on the right hand side which allows you to do some of the things I've already mentioned, but in a slightly different way. It shows you all the properties of that particular shape and what you can do with it. Okay, so there's a huge amount there that you could actually explore if you wished. And just to mention one or two other things, if you click on that third icon along, you can also copy and paste this shape. You can duplicate the shape, you can transform it, and all kinds of things that you can do. So there's a huge amount there for you to explore really in using this software. Hope that's been useful, and that's the end.